Okay, Assalamu alaikum. This video is about the rubrics which are going to be used for the evaluation of FYP for within the Mechatronics department for the BEME degree. Okay, we have two FYPs, FYP 1 and FYP 2. FYP 1 is of 100 marks and FYP 2 is also of 100 marks. So the marks distribution, as already explained to you, is that in FYP1 you'll have the proposal defense, and proposal defense will be of 30 marks. That will be around the first or the second week of the semester, and then you'll have by the end of the semester. By the end of FYP1, you will have mid defense. Mid defense will be 50 marks, and then individual student evaluation for FYP1, which is 20 marks. So 30 plus 50 plus 20, that makes 100 marks for FYP1. And similarly for FYP2, you will not have anything in the beginning, but by the end of FYP2 you will have final defense, which will be 74 marks for FYP2, and individual student evaluation for FYP2, which will be 26 marks. So individual student evaluation will be done only by the supervisor, because supervisor is taking the project with the students. So the supervisor knows better which student work better, which student work a little not as good as the other. So we will have some control in the hand of the supervisor to distinguish between the good and an average or a bad student within the group. So individual student evaluation will not be for the team, it will be for the individual student, and only the supervisor of the project is going to do um, this evaluation. Rest three evaluations, which is the proposal defense, mid defense, and the final defense, this will not be only in the hand of the supervisor, but the whole uh, uh, project review committee is going to be responsible for it. So the project review committee is going to look at it and look at its evaluation. So we are right now going to start one by one. First, let me go to proposal defense, which will be the very first thing which the students are going to encounter at the beginning of FYP1. So now I'm going to show how the rubrics are going to be presented and the grades for those rubrics. Okay. So at the beginning of this evaluation, uh, for the project proposal defense evaluation of 30 marks, it will be evaluation by project review committee. This is for the Mechatronics Engineering Department, Service University, Karachi campus. Initially, the evaluator is going to select which project he wants to evaluate. So let's say the list down will be in front of the evaluators. So let's say he selected the project, that this is a project that needs to be evaluated. Evaluator is going to put his name. Okay, let's say I put random name. Okay, and then go to the next page. So the questions are now start going to appear one by one. So at the top it's written that which project is being evaluated. Okay, and then we have question, for example, regarding the objectives, requirements, and constraints. This is 2 marks. If the evaluator thinks that the objectives are clear with details of requirement and constraints for the project, then it's 2 marks. If the objectives are clear but requirements and constraint needs improvement, I mean they are there, requirements and constraints are there, but they are not complete, and let's say the evaluator thinks that it needs improvement, then he can click this one. Okay, if the objectives are not clear at all, okay, then you click this one, and if it is not mentioned at all within the presentation, then it will be this one. Okay, so let's say that the objectives are clear but requirements and constraint needs improvement. I select this one. Okay, uh, so I have some comments regarding that. When I go to the next page, so it's going to come in front that suggested improvements regarding objective requirement and constraint of the projects. Okay, so I can put whatever the improvement I suggest, these comments. Then I go to the next page. Okay, then project deliverables. For the this is also 2 marks. For the project deliverables, clear, tangible, measurable. If they're clear but only few are tangible, okay, not all are tangible. Okay, clear but not tangible at all, neither clear nor tangible. Okay, so this will be the grading scheme. So I have 2 marks, 1.5 mark, 1 mark, 1 0 mark. So let's say I say clear, tangible, measurable. Okay, all of them. Go to the next page. Then preliminary project execution plan. So project execution plan needs to be illustrated, okay, how the project is going to be executed. So if it is properly illustrated using block diagrams, not necessarily block diagrams, let's say if it is a flow chart or whatever, somehow diagrammatically, if it is shown that how the project is going to be executed properly, then we're going to select this one. If the block diagram developed but minor changes are suggested, okay, some of the things are missed in it. If the block diagram is incomplete or incorrect, then this one. And if it is missing, it's not there at all, then this one. Okay, so let's say I say that block diagram is developed, but I have some suggestions in it for the modifications. I'll select this one. Okay, when I go to the next page, it says, okay, what are your suggested changes? I'm going to write my suggested changes in it. Go to the next page. Okay, the next question is project scheduling and expected expense. Okay, this is 4 marks. So if if a Gantt chart is developed and estimated the overall expense of the project, then it will be 4 marks. If the Gantt chart is developed but did not estimate overall expense of the project, then 3 marks. If it is incorrect or incomplete Gantt chart, also missing the estimate of the overall expense of the project, then it's 2 marks. If the Gantt chart is missing as well as overall estimated expense of the project, so that's 0 marks. Okay, so let's say that it is developed and expense of the project is estimated. So I select this one. Okay, the next thing is lifelong learning ability. Okay, so if it is expressed clearly that what learning is needed for the project, so whenever the student are doing the project, the student should know that for this project what are the things they need to learn in order to clearly execute the project. Okay, so if that thing is very well known and expressed and determined and defined, then I will click on this. If it is expressed what learning is needed for the project but show lack of confidence, somehow the student think that okay, these are the things that I need to do to complete the project, but they show lack of confidence. It looks like that they are not very much confident that whatever they are saying is correct. Then I'm gonna click on this. If vaguely discuss what learning is needed for the project, then this. And if they have no idea that how they are gonna what is needed to complete the project, then it will be this one. So let's say I say that they express clearly what learning is needed for the project. Then the next thing is sustainable development goals. Is very important. 6 marks. So this is the stage where they have to make their project relevant. They have to tell that why their project is important, and obviously they have to link it with the sustainable development goals. So if the SDGs are correctly identified and properly justified, then it is 6 marks. If it is correctly identified but not properly justified, okay, if it is incorrect, so let's say one of the SDG is does not match with the actual goals of the project, then it it will be incorrect, incomplete identification. And if they're completely miss this thing in the presentation slides, obviously then it is not identified at all. So let's say I say correctly identified and justified. Then the next thing is address the project related socio-economic health safety issues. That's 4 marks. This is important, that sometimes the projects have some issues related to the health, safety, environment, socio-economic factors. Okay, so if there are certain factors related to it, then those factors need to be properly addressed and uh, need to be discussed, that how those issues will be tackled. Even if those issues are not there it needs to be mentioned within the presentation slides, that they have looked into all these factors and none of these factors are actually present in their project. So if all relevant issues considered, 4 marks. If issues considered is incorrect, incomplete, 2 marks. Not address project related issues at all, that's 0 marks. Okay, so let's say I click on this, then go. Next thing is presentation delivery, way of presenting. If it was clear, orderly, precise, 2 marks. It was clear and precise but not properly ordered. Okay, things are coming uh, randomly. Okay, so uh, if it is clear but neither orderly nor precise, okay, if it is not precise means there is so much information provided that is also some of the information is irrelevant to the project, then that means that the presentation is not precise and not clear at all. So I'll say okay, clear, precise but not properly ordered. Okay, then response to questions. Obviously after the presentation, the question and answer session will be proceeded with it, and so it's going to be judged at how the students responded to the questions. Obviously it will not be judged uh, about this judgment will not be made for a single student, but it will be made for the entire team. So response to questions, if they respond clearly and confidently, 2 marks. If they respond clearly but show lack of confidence, 1.5 marks. If vague responses, 1 mark. Unable to respond at all, then 0 marks. So let's say respond clearly but show lack of confidence. Then presentation format organization. Presentation slides are clear, concise, easily comprehensible, and well structured with easily visible graphics. So now it's how the slides are presented. I mean, in that sense, that visibility of the slides, the color contrast used, the font used, whatever is there on the slide, can I read it? So it's about that. So if the presentation format and organization is good, then it's 2 marks. If it is clear, concise, easy, comprehensible, however need little improvement, okay, then it will be this one. And if it is hard to comprehend, poorly structured. So let's say I say that it is clear, concise, easily comprehensible, but I think that there needs to be some improvement in it. So like this one, then I have to write okay, whatever the improvement I suggest in the presentation slides. Next is use of references. Obviously when you're doing the proposal defense, you are not required to do uh, all the you're not required to present all the references, but at least one or two most relevant references needs to be presented there in the proposal defense as well. So obviously those references then needs to be cited within the presentation slides as well. And so if it is properly referred using, where necessary, using IEEE format, 2 marks. uh, but if the format not followed, 1.5 marks. Missing at various places, 1 marks. Not referred at all, 0 marks. Okay, so let's say it's references missing at various places. Then I'm going to go over the overall evaluation of the project. If I think it is acceptable as it is, then that's it is acceptable as it is. If it is acceptable but with suggested changes, then I have to mention what are the changes that I suggest. If reevaluation needed after grace period, so that means the project title would remain the same, but I think that it cannot be accepted like this, and we need to do the reevaluation of it. And if I think that the project title needs to be changed, this project throughout is not okay, then I'll consider it to be rejected. Let's say accepted with, but with suggested changes. I have to then mention that what are the suggestions or changes that should be there. Next page, and that's it. So we've got the entire uh, evaluation of the project done, and after the evaluation automatically marks will be calculated, since each and every question has dedicated marks, and there's a specific rubric presented, and that has been shown here as well to you. So that's it about the project proposal defense evaluation, which is 30 marks, the very first thing. Okay. Then let's say I move over to the next item. Okay, so next item is mid defense. Mid defense is going to be taking place in the FYP1 by the end of the FYP1. So that will be 50 marks. So let's open the mid defense. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the preview. Okay, so project mid defense evaluation, that's 50 marks. Evaluation by project review committee. Again, the project review committee will be responsible for the evaluation of this. Okay, so I select the project. Let's say I select the project for which I need to do the mid defense evaluation. I select the name of the evaluator, that is my name. Okay, okay, and I select next page. Okay, so first question in the mid defense evaluation will be about problem statement and proposed solution. Okay, now that will be related to both the report and the presentation slides. Obviously, now the report for the FYP1 is already provided to the evaluators, as well as mid defense has already been conducted. So the presentation is already done for the mid defense, and the evaluator is now going to evaluate. So problem statement, proposed solution. If it is well defined, technically feasible, 2 marks. If it is well defined and technically feasible but with suggested improvements, then 1.5 mark. If it is well defined but technically not feasible, 1 mark. Not defined clearly at all, 0 mark. Okay, so I'll say, let's say with suggested improvement. Okay, then I have to tell that what are the improvements that I suggest in case of uh, proposed solution. Okay, then go to the next page. Okay, literature review and data collection. Obviously, FIP1 is already done now, so literature review part, chapter number 2, is completed or almost complete. So, recent literature thoroughly reviewed and relevant data collected. Recent literature thoroughly reviewed but missing relevant data if the data is not properly collected for your project. Literature review is not recent, and as well as missing relevant data. Literature review is irrelevant and missing relevant data. Okay, so this is how the grading will be. So let's say I say that it's there. Then development of process diagram flowchart. Okay, so that's 4 marks. Properly reported using detailed process diagram flowchart. Process diagram flowchart developed but minor changes suggested. Process diagram flowchart is incomplete, incorrect. Missing process diagram flowchart. Okay, so let's say there are certain minor changes that I have to suggest. I click on it and I'll put my suggestions. The next thing is development of design or problem solution. So if the design is clearly and coherently presented with alternatives where required, okay, so the major difference here is about the alternatives. If the alternatives are there, then that's 2 marks. Okay. If the design is presented but missing study of alternatives, that's 1.5 mark. Design is presented but incomplete, incorrect, 1 mark. Design is not clear at all, 0 mark. So let's say it's missing alternatives. Evaluation of proposed design is 4 marks. If the proposed design has been thoroughly evaluated, okay, with calculations and supporting analysis. So the calculation part here is important. If the thesis is showing certain amount of calculations and supporting analysis, then that will be 4 marks. Okay. If the calculations are there, but we can see that there are certain minor errors within the calculations, then it will be 3 marks. If the evaluation of the proposed design is incomplete, still calculation are there but not all the calculations are there, then it's 2 marks. And if the proposed design is not evaluated at all, there is no calculation, there is no design procedure shown within the thesis at all, okay, then it will be 0 mark. So I say that it's there but with minor errors in calculation. Okay, next thing is design simulation using software. Okay, so if the relevant software is used, that's 4 marks. If the software is used for the simulation of the design, then it's 4 marks. If the simulation of design is reported, but there is certain minor suggestions for improvement, that's 3 marks. Okay, if the simulation of the design is there but not properly reported, okay, then it's 2 marks. And if it is missing at all, it's 0 marks. So let's say I have certain suggestions for improvement. You click in on here, and there I give my suggestions. Then the next thing is compliance report. Okay, both proposal defense and thesis draft compliance fully achieved. Okay, well, obviously by this time when you are giving the mid defense, you already have proposal defense compliance comments provided to you, and also your thesis draft comments have been given to you as well. So if you have actually did the compliance of both proposal defense and thesis draft, then that's 4 marks. But if you have done the compliance for the case of proposal defense but still thesis draft compliance has not been met, then it's 3 marks. If proposal defense compliance is achieved but thesis draft compliance uh, is missing, 2 marks. And if all compliance reports are missing, then 0 marks. So let's say you did the proposal defense compliance, but thesis draft compliance you also attempted but not fully complete, so that's 3 marks. Way of presenting, it's a similar thing like the way it was done, because this is also a presentation, uh, mid defense, and you have already given the proposal defense presentation. So way of presenting, this is the same, it has the same rubric here in the mid defense as it was there in the proposal defense. Then response to questions, respond clearly, again it has the same rubrics as we had before. Then presentation format organization, same rubrics as before. Body language and attire, okay, so it should be positive, enthusiastic, and well dressed. Positive, enthusiastic, but casually dressed. Positive, but lacks enthusiasm. Okay, negative, rude, and casually dressed. So based on that, the evaluation will be done. Construction of mechanical structure. Obviously, since you're already done FYP1, so after giving the presentation of FYP1, and also you have given the project demonstration till the deliverables of FYP1. So need to look at if the construction of mechanical structure is complete or not. So this is 8 marks related to project demonstration. So if it is fully fabricated, stable, well represented, then 8 marks. If fully fabricated and stable, but aesthetic appearance is not good, 6 marks. Partially fabricated and unstable, 4 marks. Mechanical structure not constructed at all, 0 marks. Okay. So let's say like this. In case if your project does not have mechanical structure in FYP1, then automatically you get full marks. Okay. The next thing is display the integrated circuit of the project. Okay, so if the electrical circuitry is properly designed, fully operational and presentable, 8 marks. If electrical circuitry is properly designed and fully operational but not well represented, 6 marks. Properly designed but neither fully operational nor well represented, 4 marks. Electrical circuitry is not properly designed, that's 0 marks. Okay, so sometimes it is fully operational, sometimes it is not fully operational, means you're trying to run the project but demonstration is showing that you're not able to get the desired results. That means it is operational but not fully operational. Okay, so let's say I have this one. Then you have video demonstration. Obviously you have to present the video as well. Project video demonstrating achievement of met deliverables. If the video demonstration show all stages of project development and working of the product in a formal presentation with clear and audible voiceover. So there has to be voiceover on it, and all stages of project development should be shown within the video. Then if this is the case, then we'll give 4 marks. Okay. If shows all stages of project development and working of the product in a formal presentation, however with missing voiceover. If the voiceover is not there, voiceover is very important because it shows and it gives provide the details of whatever the thing that you are actually showing in the video. Okay. And if it is just showing that video, the working of the product but not displaying all the stages of product development, then uh, it will be this one. And video demonstration is missing, that's 0 marks. So let's say I say video demonstration just shows the working of the product but all the stages of product development is not shown in it and there is no voiceover, so that will be 2 marks. Okay, so next thing is overall evaluation. Acceptable as it is, acceptable but with suggested changes, re-evaluation needed after grace period, or rejected. So let's say acceptable but with suggested changes. So I provide my suggestions and complete. So thesis evaluation done. So now let's see the last thing for FYP1. So that is the individual student evaluation for FYP1. Okay, let me preview it. So let's say I select the name of the project, supervisor name, okay, whatever from the drop down, and now I have to select, because individually it has to be done for each and every student. So I select one of the student for, for whom I want to do the individual student evaluation. So did the student attended project meetings with the supervisor? So if he attended all project meetings throughout the semester, 4 marks. Attended more than 80%. Okay. However, provided formal excuse for his or her absence, the 3 marks. Attendance in project meeting was less than 80% without any formal excuse, 2 marks. Did not attend majority of the project meetings, 0 marks. Okay, so let's say I have this one. Okay, then is participation. That's 6 marks. How was this student participated in the project meetings? Actively participated, coming up with novel ideas. Okay, and 6 marks. If participation was there, okay, but his participation was confined to data collection and logistic supports only. So he's not coming up with ideas. That's 4.5 marks. Participated in project meeting but never come up with any idea for project execution. That's 3 marks. Remained as a silent member. He was there all the time, but uh, participation, how was that student participated in the project meeting? The next thing is task completion. Okay, so how was this student how was this student response to the assigned task in the project meetings? Obviously, whenever you'll have project meetings with your FYP project team, so you're going to assign tasks to individual students, that okay, what are the things that each one of them have to do. So if they always completed their task on time, then it is 6 marks. If they completed the task, however, with a bit delay most of the time, the 4.5 marks. If attempted to complete his her assigned task, however, only partial completion achieved most of the time, 3 marks. If never completed his or her assigned task, that's 0 marks. Okay, so let's say completed, but with a bit delay most of the time for this student. Then cooperation with team. How was this student cooperated with the other members of the project team? Okay, so if this student had a good cooperation, cooperated well with team members and share work equally, that's 4 marks. If he or she cooperated with team members, although could not share the workload equally, 3 marks. At times show lack of cooperation with team members, 2 marks. Did not cooperate with the team members at all. Okay, so that's how the grading will be done. And with this, all the grading would be completed. Okay, so this is how individual student evaluation. Obviously, individual student evaluation will be done for each and every student separately. So the supervisor have the power and the authority to actually give one student very good marks and other student very bad mark if there was one very good student and other very bad student, or all of them can get good marks if all of them were equally good, and all of them can get bad marks if all of them were equally bad. Okay, so this is individual, and this individual student evaluation is going to differentiate uh, uh, between the marks of the good and the bad student within a specific FYP group. Okay, so after this, FYP1 is now complete. Okay, so once FYP1 is complete, now we can move towards FYP2. Okay, so in FYP2, we'll have two different evaluations. One is the final defense, which is the most important thing here. The other is the individual student evaluation for FYP2. The final defense is 74 marks. Individual student evaluation for FYP2 is 26 marks. So let's start with the final defense. Okay. Okay, so initially we select whatever the project name is. Okay, so let's say we select the project name and evaluator name be selected. Okay, and then next page. Okay, so the first thing is complex problem solving attributes. Okay, if they were defined and justified, the complex problem solving attributes of the project, then 4 marks. If it was defined, however not properly justified, 3 marks. If it is incorrect selection of complex problem solving attributes for the project, 2 marks. If not defined complex problem solving attributes of the project at all, is 0 marks. So let's say it is defined and properly justified. The next thing is this is related to the report, citing additional references in the thesis report. Okay, obviously, some references have already been cited in FYP1, but it is needed that some additional references should also be cited when you are completing the thesis in FYP2. So, if there are additional recent references being cited, then in proper IEEE format, then it's 2 marks. If IEEE format not properly followed, then it's 1.5 marks. If if they are not recent, 1 mark, and if there are no additional references, then 0 marks. Okay. The next thing is propose alternative designs for solution, assess the best suitable design, and verify it by testing a prototype. Obviously, when you are designing something, you have to go through uh, you, a hit and trial or testing multiple. You need to look at alternative designs for your solution. Okay, and then you have to pick up one of the best suitable design by using certain criteria. Okay, so if the design is presented with alternatives and assessed the best suitable design and verified by prototype testing, then it's 4 marks. If the design is presented with alternatives and says the best suitable design but not verified by prototype testing, 3 marks. Design is verified by prototype testing but not presented with alternatives, 2 marks. And if the design not presented with alternatives at all, also verification by the prototype testing is not done, then 0 marks. So obviously when you are designing something, so you have an idea that how that item needs to perform, and so based upon your design performance of your project, you're going to evaluate it by the actual performance of your prototype. So if the so that you can come up with how good is your design, and how good is your prototype working compared to the design. So if this thing is done, then it's full marks. If not done, then obviously. Then the next thing is design simulation using software. If the relevant software usage is reported for the simulation of the design, that's 6 marks. Okay. If it is used but there is a certain suggestion for improvement, 4.5 mark. If it is not properly reported, 3 marks. If it is missing, 0 marks. So let's say there are certain suggestions, then I'm going to give the suggestions. Then cost analysis of the project. Okay, if the cost of the material and cost of manufacturing is provided, estimated the final cost of the product considering product life cycle, then it's 2 marks. If cost of everything is provided, however product life cycle is not considered in estimating the cost, then it's 1.5 mark. If the cost is of the material is provided only, or and the final cost of the product is not estimated at all, and it's 1 mark. And missing cost analysis, completely 0 marks. Okay, so let's say that it is this one. Product life cycle is not considered, however the material cost and manufacturing cost is mentioned. Sustainable development goals, again, uh, right now it should be previously when we were asking in the proposal defense the SDGs, so that was only within the presentation slides, because at that time there was no report made. But now we are also looking into the presentation slides, as well as we are looking into the report, that SDG goals should be properly defined and justified. Okay, so within the report as well. So if it is identified and justified in the thesis report, identified but not properly justified in thesis report, incorrect identification and justification, 2 marks. Not identified at all, 0. So let's say identified and justified in the thesis report. Then next thing is assessment of safety and health impacts of the product, as well as social impacts on the community. Again, now this is, we are talking in the report. When we discussed this thing in the proposal defense, that was only in the presentation slides, because at that time there was no report. But now these things must be presented within the report as well. So if all relevant issues discussed in the thesis report, 6 marks. Incomplete, incorrect discussion on the relevant issues, 3 marks. Neglected all project related relevant issues, 0 marks. So let's say all relevant issues discussed in the thesis report. Abstract and conclusion are very, very important. Okay, both abstract and conclusions are very well written, clear, understandable, precise, and free from grammatical errors. That's 2 marks. Abstract is comparatively better. However, conclusion does not properly summarize the results of the project. So 1.5 mark. Conclusion summarizes the result. However, both abstract and conclusions are written poorly with a lot of grammatical errors. 1 mark. Both the abstract and conclusions are poorly written and not understandable at all. So let's say that it is this one. Okay, so the next thing is use of equations, tables, figures in the project report. So if the equations are clear, accurate, all figures tables are properly presented and consistent with the text, then it is 4 marks. If the equations are clear, figures tables are of good quality but not properly discussed in the text, this is one of the problem, because sometimes the students put the figures, but then those figures are not cited in the text, and that is something which is wrong. If the equations are clear, accurate, how a majority of the figures and tables are poorly presented, I mean, they should be clear, whatever you're trying to show through those tables and figures. And then we have equations are not clear, majority of the figures and tables are poorly presented, at 0 marks. So let's say we have this situation. Then the next thing is again the compliance reports. So by this time, since the students will be giving the final defense, so they already have their comments for the mid defense as well as the thesis draft would have already been provided with the comments. So mid defense report compliance and thesis draft compliance needs to be achieved, and if it is achieved, fully achieved, then it's 2 marks. If the mid defense report compliance is achieved but thesis draft compliance is partially achieved, 1.5. And if thesis draft compliance is missing, that's 1 marks. And if the compliance reports are completely missing, this is 0 marks. So let's say we have all the compliance achieved so far. Then plagiarism check report. If the similarity index is less than 15%, 2 marks. If it is between 15 to 17%, 1.5 marks. 17 to 20%, 1 mark. Greater than 20%, 0 marks. So the way of presenting, it's again the same way, because this is also whenever you have presentation, you have these kind of questions regarding the presentation delivery. Okay, so I'm not going to explain this again, since I haven't explained this thing for the last 2 times. Okay, response to questions, presentation format and organization, body language and attire. Uh, okay, then regarding project poster, uh, you have backdrop, standee, and brochure for the project, which you have already displayed uh, during the project demonstration. So it's 2 marks if they're prepared, printed backdrop, standee, brochure for the project. The prepared material is attractive in terms of design, layout, and neatness, with graphics that makes material easier to understand. If it is prepared, printed, uh, however, the prepared material is not attractive and lacks neatness. If missing one of the item from backdrop, standee, or brochure for the project, and if missing all of them. So the next thing is the construction of mechanical structure. Obviously, uh, when you are demonstrating your project before the final thesis defense, so your mechanical structure of your project should be fully fabricated, stable, and well presented. So that's 8 marks. This actually comes under the psychomotor domain. Then we have display the integrated circuit of the project, that was also there in the mid defense. Okay, but it's going to be there here as well. So let's say electrical circuitry is properly designed, fully operational, but not well represented. Some wires here and there are being shown. Then we have displays software and coding knowledge for mechanical electrical interface. Most of the time you have the smart features are being implemented in the second part of the project in FYP2. In FYP1, we asked the students to make the mechanical structure, do some electrical connections, and then the smart features, the coding, and things like that. We asked them to include in the FYP2. So they have to display it and show the working of their project. So if the mechanical electrical interface fully functional and proper coding displayed, 8 marks. And if the coding if mechanical electrical interface is partially functional but coding is displayed, 6 marks. If not functional, coding is displayed, 4 marks. And if the coding is not displayed, 0 marks. So let's say it is this one. Then video demonstration of the project video demonstration, achievement of the project deliverables. Okay, so this again, the rubrics are the same as we had there for the mid defense. Okay, and overall evaluation accepted but with suggested changes, let's say. And then I have the suggestions placed. That's it. So project final defense evaluation, which is of 74 marks, is actually done here. Overall marks will be calculated based upon how the individual evaluator has evaluated, and then the evaluation of all the evaluators will be averaged, summed up, and averaged to get the final score of the student. Not just the student, the team. Okay. Then we have the last rubric, which is the individual student evaluation for FYP2. So this is 26 marks. So let's have a look at it. Preview. So first you have to select which project the student belongs to, and then the name of the supervisor who will be doing who will be doing this evaluation, and then the specific name of the student for whom the evaluation is going to be conducted. So again, the attendance, did the student attended project meetings with the supervisor? Okay, so attended all meetings, 80%. So this rubric is the same as we had for FYP1. Then how was his participation in the project meeting? That's 2 marks. Again, the rubrics is the same as we had for FYP1. Then task completion, how was his response to the assigned task in the project meeting? Again, the rubrics are the same as we had for the FYP1. How was the student cooperation with other members of the project team? That's 4 marks. Again, the rubrics are the same as we had for FYP1. Now, this is new thing. Did the student show any willingness to engage in lifelong learning? Okay, that's 6 marks. So if the student showed demonstrated ability to learn new skills with high proficiency, so whatever the new skill was needed to actually work over the project, if among the team, if there was a student who actually did effort and learned the new skill with high proficiency, that's 6 marks. And if he learned this new skill but looks like he's at the beginner's level, that's 4.5 marks. If he shows eagerness to learn new skills but not willing to put enough effort in it, that's 3 marks. Avoid engaging in any activity that involves learning new skills, that's 0 marks. Okay, so again, this is going to be student by student evaluation. The next thing is again 6 marks, and it's also very important. Did the student contributed in preparing a publishable research report for the project? So did he really contributed in preparing the research report. So if the student contributed in writing research article as per international journal standards for publishing, that's 6 marks. Contributed in writing research article, however, needs improvement in it for publishing. So his article was good but needs some improvement. Did not contribute in writing research article, however, compiled research material. He just compiled the material, gave to relevant to other students so that they can write. So that's 3 marks, and did not contribute in writing research article at all, 0 marks. So let's say needs certain improvement in it for publishing, and that's it, done. So with this, the individual student evaluation for FYP2 is also done. So to sum up, we have a total of 200 marks, which will be averaged to 100 marks for the FYP. FYP 100 marks, FYP2 100 marks. For FYP1, the 100 marks are divided into proposal defense 30 marks, mid defense 50 marks, and individual student evaluation for FYP1 by the supervisor 20 marks. So 30, 50, and 20, that's 100. For FYP2, it is distributed as final defense 74 marks and individual student evaluation for FYP2 by the supervisor 26 marks. So 74 plus 26, that's again 100. So 100 plus 100, that's 200 marks. And for all these 200 marks, there are different set of questions. For each question, there are a set of rubrics. And for each rubrics, the marks distribution is presented. And so the individual evaluators and the supervisor are going to evaluate the FYP. And so the students should also know that if they want good marks in their FYP1 and FYP2, what are the questions against which they will be evaluated, and how should they prepare themselves in order to get good marks uh, corresponding to each question by different evaluators as well as by their supervisor. So that's all about the rubrics for FYP evaluation. Hope if you watch the video thoroughly, you will be able to prepare yourself very well for the FYP. And I hope that you get very good grades in FYP1 as well as FYP2, as it is the most important course within your entire degree. Thank you.